Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, back with another action-packed live session. We're going to handle some live Q&A and answer the questions that I've gotten from you guys over the last 2 weeks. So these are the questions you've been texting me, emailing me, reaching out to me with. I'm going to answer all of these questions. Make sure you stick around to the end because you don't know what the answers to these questions or even what the questions are. But I can promise you the free game is going to elevate you 10x in your real estate knowledge. And you want to take advantage of this opportunity because it will not last. I won't be doing these live sessions and making them publicly available to you guys forever. So take advantage of it while you can. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe. Leave the comment that says I subscribe. For everyone who leaves that comment, I'm going to send you instant access to my free real estate training. It'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on a dollar all across the country. You don't want to miss out on that free offer. So let's get into this thing. If you have questions, drop it in the comment section, drop it in the chat. We will be answering these questions live. If you're watching a replay, also leave a comment and I'll get back to you as well. So let's jump into the first question. Question number one, when looking to purchase or build on a land lot, how do I know if I can build a multifamily building or, single family? Some of you want to go out and build commercial. The thing that you have to do here. So whenever you're looking to evaluate land, like a land deal, you're going to go to a share sale or an auction, you're going to buy land and you want to build on it. And you need to know, like, what can I build? How do you go through that process? The first thing you want to do is you need to dig into the zoning code archives. Every city has this. This is all publicly available information. Even though you can hire an architect to do this research for you. Looks like we got some more questions coming in. Even though you can hire an architect to do this research for you, you can also just read this, right? This stuff is publicly available. If you Google it, zoning code, like I was just in the zoning code of Dallas for one of our boots on the ground members earlier today, looking at different land deals that they were evaluating. You can dig through the code, you can read, do your research, and this is the work that you have to do. There's a lot of homework involved with land lot deals that's not necessarily involved with existing structures. With an existing structure, you're already going to have zoning. The property's already going to be set up however it's set up. There's going to be maybe a variance on the property, some things that'll last for the lifeline, and you kind of know what you're getting into. With the land, you have to do a lot of homework. You have to make sure you can build what you want to build. You have to make sure your property, land lots and your sizes of your lot size is big enough to build. So it's not just about zoning. You have to have the proper square footage to your lot size or the proper acreage to build X amount of units. So these are all things that you have to think about when doing your research. And the number one thing you need to look at with land, if you want to build multifamily, if you want to buy some land and build an apartment complex, you need to, I would say rudimentary research is just look around the neighborhood, look around what's around that land, because whatever you build, to some degree, it has to conform with the neighborhood. It has to conform with the neighbors. So this conforming concept means if I buy some land on a block and the entire block is 2-story buildings, I can't necessarily just build a 3 or 4-story building on that plot of land because it won't conform to the neighbors. Then the neighbors are going to get ticked off. They're going to complain. They're going to petition, and they're going to get my variance like just crushed in the zoning board. So you have to build something that is conforming to your neighbors. So if you're looking for, like, hey, I want to build a multifamily or I want to build a 3-story, look around that land lot. If you see a 3-story right next to that land lot, you can probably build your own 3-story building. Or if you're seeing multifamily, like you're looking at the front of the house and there's 3 mailboxes on a lot of the houses, which is an indicator that this is multifamily, you can probably build multifamily on this land lot. So that's the rudimentary, just kind of looking at it from the street level research. But then there's digging through these zoning archives, which you can do for free. If you don't know how, you can always reach out to me, no matter where you're at or what city you're in, and we'll find it. We'll help you to locate it and show you the process. If you're in the 100 Keys Masterclass, you kind of know how to do some of this stuff. And we can work with you one-on-one if you're in the one-on-one VIP mentorship program to help you to do the research. Even if you're in the one-on-one mentorship program, we have our deal analyst now that we just brought on who can do that research for you guys and dig through that stuff for you as well. So definitely take advantage of that leverage. So when you're looking to purchase or build on a land lot, you just need to do your research. Sometimes you need to call the city as well. Call the construction board, call the construction division and ask them, hey, what is this land lot zoned for? What can I build here on this? And they will tell you right over the phone, hey, it's zoned for multi, or no, it's zoned for commercial. I was looking at some property earlier today. It was zoned for special purpose for like schools. So they just carved out this whole plot of land within a residential single family district and said, okay, this is now only for schools. You can only build a school on this. And we're not dealing with anything else. So you have to get into that. Guys, if you have comments, questions, drop it in the chat, drop it in the comment section. I am going to answer all your questions live as well. So definitely do that. We have a question. Let me jump into this live question from Bill. Bill is asking, how can I profit on multifamily homes with tenants already in place? Well, I mean, if you already have the tenants in place, and this is kind of another question that we got, so I'll piggyback that. Let me find that question so that we can kind of piggyback off of this. The other question we got that was related to tenants and kind of a similar philosophy is, when buying a rental property, should I keep the existing tenants or put them out and get new tenants? So there's kind of a joint answer in between these two. So how do you profit? One, you just run your numbers. So if you already have tenants in place, that should mean that you already have leases in place. So when you're evaluating this deal, you want to ask for copies of the leases from the original owner, the seller, we'll call them. So you get the copies of the lease agreements. And now that you have those, you want to just review, okay, how much money is coming in? How much do they have on security deposit? Did they pay first month, last month? What is kind of out there in terms of rent collection? And then what money is coming in every month? So you have that top line, which is, this is gross revenues. Then you can factor in, if you buy this property and put a mortgage on it, what kind of mortgage are you going to put? Are you going to put the 5-1 ARM, like I recommend right now, because rates are going to kind of tick back down? And you guys, if you don't know about that, watch some of the videos on YouTube that kind of break down my interest rate strategies and why I think now is a good time to use some of these adjustable rate mortgages, even though historically they've been kind of bad, we'll call it, or people have kind of frowned upon them. So you're going to look at how much money is going out in terms of the mortgage, the principal, the insurance, the taxes, the mortgage, the interest, all of that stuff. So how much money is going out? Do you have property management in place? How much money is going out there? And is there a spread? If there's a spread with the existing tenants in place, which this is how I purchased my first property. My first property, I did an FHA House Hack. I had 2 tenants in a triplex essentially, and those tenants, they were paying about $700 a month per tenant in these 2 units, and the mortgage was only, I think, $750 a month. So there was a spread there to just buy the property and hold on to it. So if you get in those positions, I mean, you can see how you can make a profit with somebody who's already in, with tenants already in place. You can just buy it and cash flow it. Now, if you get this deal, and let's say this is like most properties, the landlord who had the deal, they've essentially kept the same tenants in place. They haven't increased the rents over the course of time. And now this property is just like barely cash flowing. If you buy it at new interest rates and a new price, you might want to close vacant. My strategy with kind of today's market is, I always want to close vacant. I don't accept, kind of getting to back to that tenanting question. I don't keep my existing tenants. I don't keep them in the property typically. I request that I close vacant. Why? Because I like to value add properties. I like to buy properties and then add renovations to them. I want to put in a new kitchen, put in a new bathroom. I might want to add bedrooms to the property to increase the cash flow. And I can't do that value add when the tenants are in place. I would rather get that property vacant, refurbish it, and then I can demand higher rents. And now I'm cash flowing even more money. So that's kind of my strategy, is I always close vacant. Also, I like to pick my own people. So when I'm doing my underwriting, and this is very important, if you guys don't know how to screen tenants or underwrite tenants or all of these things, this is what I call the monetization piece of the business. There's 2 parts to real estate. A lot of people get caught up in renovation and construction. They watch Property Brothers. They think, oh, I want to build houses. This is going to be so much fun. So they get caught up in that piece, and they never learn the landlording business, how to monetize the asset. If you just bought turnkey properties with tenants in place and managed them, you would learn this entire management piece, how to manage tenants successfully. You're probably going to have to evict somebody at some point in this game. So how to run an eviction, how to collect rent on time, how to set up like virtual monitoring systems, how to get paid digitally. So how to get different software that allows you to collect rent easier, because if you're hard to pay, people won't pay you. I mean, it's just, everybody's easy to pay nowadays. So if you make yourself hard to pay, like, oh, send me a money order or a check, people aren't trying to do that most of the time, and you won't get paid. So I like to screen and pick my own tenants because I have kind of my own in-house process, and I've had more success with picking my own tenants than dealing with existing tenants. There's always that fear that if somebody is selling you a property with tenants in place, that these tenants are kind of a headache. These tenants are a nightmare. And because of that, they're going to kind of burn you on rent or not pay you, or they haven't paid the existing landlord. That's why they're selling and kind of getting out of the deal. So it's things to think about, and I'd rather just not deal with it, altogether. Guys, if you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribe. For everyone who leaves that comment, I want to send you instant access to my free real estate training. We'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. You don't want to miss out on that free offer. Drop questions in the comment section. Drop your questions in the chat. We're answering questions live. We're going through some of the questions that I've gotten from you guys over the last 2 weeks. So I kind of compile some of the best ones and cover them so that we can all learn from them. Because I realized, over the course of the time, I'm answering a lot of these questions all day from all of my mentees. And there's so much value in these answers that it's like a shame to only give it one-to-one, right? Even though that's what, the one-to-one VIP mentorship program is about. It's about being able to spend time with me one-on-one in that setting where we can accelerate you like 10x. So drop your questions, comments in the chat, anything real estate related, we'll cover it. And we're going to keep rolling. But hopefully that was good for you guys on kind of tenanting, why I prefer to close vacant. But also, if you do close on a deal that has tenants, how to underwrite it and some of the things to think about, and how you can turn a profit on that. You're only, if it's already tenanted, going to turn a profit on cash flow. You can't really get a tenanted, well, you can get a tenanted property and do a value add to it and turn it over, but it's a bit more advanced of a strategy. If anybody pounds the table, I'll kind of break that out, but I want to keep moving on to other topics because there's a lot of different topics out there. So the next question, that I've gotten is from one of my mentees, one of you guys who's working on creative financing deals out there. And we get this a lot. What's the best way to pitch an offer to a motivated seller? So this guy's going out, and we'll just kind of frame this. He's going out, he's met with a motivated seller. So he set up my campaign like I told him to do, how to get in front of motivated sellers in a matter of a couple of weeks. And this guy's 20 years old. So for a lot of you who think you're too young or maybe too old to get into real estate, this guy's 20 years old. He's crushing it. So in a matter of a couple of weeks, he gets on the phone, he sets his first appointment, and boom, he's out at the property shooting a video and coming back so that we can do analysis. We're watching the video together, cranking the numbers, running the comps, and he's at the point of pitching to this motivated seller. So then he's like, well, Brian, what's the best way to pitch the offer? Should I text it to him? Should I call? Should I email? Should I set up a Zoom call? Like, what's the best way to get in front of this guy and pitch it? And while there's not a right answer in the sense, there's a probability of success answer. So I would say if we're ranking these, emails probably amongst the worst, because you can send out an offer via email or text. I would say in these written formats, these are amongst the worst because it doesn't offer the opportunity for back and forth. Like whenever you're putting out an offer, it's kind of a negotiation point. You guys know me from a negotiation standpoint. When I'm putting out, hey April, you guys know me when I'm putting out offers. I'm always putting out low ball offers. I want to put out the lowest offer. I want to guarantee that this person says no. I want them to say, no, I'm not taking that. Now I know, okay, cool. What will you take? I'm open to all counters. Let's get into the negotiation process. That's where I want to be. If I put out my first offer and they're like, yeah, I'll take it, I offered too much. I didn't find their kind of bottom point. So you always want to put out these kind of low ball offers. And I wouldn't want to put out that low ball offer in an email because it could turn somebody off. And if they get turned off, now you're just in a bad position where you're trying to chase them around, chase them back down, and they're just kind of blowing you off. But doing it over the phone or on a Zoom call or in person, these are the best ways to pitch these offers. When you get really good at creative financing and wholesaling, you'll pitch people in person. Right when you go out to that appointment to evaluate the deal, look at the property, you'll be telling them, look, this doesn't look that good. This doesn't look that good. I can get you about 150 for this. What do you think? We can draw up the paperwork right now. I got some paperwork in my briefcase, or you might have your laptop. We can type it up right now, DocuSign it, and get this thing done. But pitching it, in these other written formats is not necessarily the way you want to go. You want to offer opportunity for that back and forth. Any questions, drop them in the chat. It looks like we got a question from Get Money, Get Money, which is a good handle. So what sites can I find properties like these to capitalize on? I dropped a YouTube video called How to Find Cheap Properties. It's on the YouTube channel. So dig through the YouTube channel. There's so much wealth of knowledge on the YouTube channel. You guys got to really dig through this thing. But it's called Where to Find Cheap Deals. And I give you my 7 deal sources. So where I go to find the best deals to make profits on. And I give you my 7 deal sources, why I go to each one, and what value I get out of each one, and why you should too. And that breaks it down in like greater detail than I could ever break down in one of these sessions, because I literally carved it out. And I think it's maybe I think we did a live session on that too. That's in the master class. That's even further, but this is at least like a 20-minute breakout. So definitely check out that. Brian's Where to Find Cheap Deals, How to Find Cheap Deals, my top 7 deal sources. Check that out, and it will break down where you can go. But really quickly, auctions, live auctions, online auctions. Live would be like the physical. You have online auctions that can be live in terms of time, but the competition is a little bit more when it's online than when it's like a physical auction. There's just less people, less competition. Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, those types of resources. Wholesalers, your Redfins, your Zillows. These are all good, resources that you should tap into, and you'll be able to lock up deals. Any more questions out there, feel free to drop them in the chat section, the comment section, and we'll be answering them kind of live as we go, as you guys have questions. We're going to cover questions that have come in from the last 2 weeks. And if you're new to the platform, like, comment, subscribe, leave the comment that says I subscribe, so I can send you instant access to my free real estate training. It'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on a dollar all across the country. You guys don't want to miss out on that free offer. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video, share the live with somebody who you want to do well in real estate as well. Even if you're watching replay, share the video. Okay, here's another question. My realtor is lazy and doesn't get offers out quickly, and I'm feeling like he or she is just the wrong fit. What should I do? I mean, look, realtors are they're regular people. And here's what I found. This is my philosophy, not only with realtors, but with wholesalers as well. When I'm dealing with realtors or wholesalers, people who are kind of moving properties, I want younger, not only younger, but hungrier people. So they could be older. They could be any age, but I want that hunger first. I find that younger people, and by younger, I mean newer to the game. So I won't even say it's like an age thing. People who are new to the game, who are just building their book of business, who are just building their client base, they're a little bit hungrier to generate new commissions. I like dealing with that personnel best because they're going to go out and chase down deals for those commissions. Like, you want someone who is commission hungry in this game. You also want realtors or wholesalers who are investor friendly. What makes somebody investor friendly? Investor friendly means if I'm going to look at a $300,000 property, they're excited about it. If I'm going to look at a $30,000 shell in the hood, they're excited about it, or they're going to run it. They're going to show up, or they're going to get the lockbox code, and they're going to negotiate just like they would on the other deal. And they're going to wait for the renovation and the back end sale. When you find a good fit like that, you keep it. I mean, it's gold. Not everyone is like this though. So you have to understand, if you go out on, Redfin and you just grab any old realtor and they're like, yeah, I'm older, I've been in the business 20 years, They might put on their website or their brief that they moved, $3 million of deals last year and XYZ, and they're just not hungry anymore. Then when you come in and you're like, you're aggressive, you're this new investor, you're all excited, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and you're like, hey, I want to do some deals. You're sending them all these deals, and they're just like, they don't want to work that hard. That's just is what it is. They don't want to work that hard. They're not going to move fast enough. You're going to lose so many deals dealing with them that you'll wish you just had somebody investor friendly who is a little bit hungrier. So I look at those deals and I'm just like, those types of prospects, and I'm just like, man, you got to fire them. You have to identify them and then get rid of them, because they're going to cost you big money. There are deals out there that our people are locking up right now in the Boots on the Ground program. We just had a guy, our Canadian investor, some of you guys know him or have heard of him, but he just locked up 2 more deals. Each of them has like $100,000 profit target on them. This guy is just like crushing. One of these deals, very interestingly, he stuck with this deal for about a month. A bunch of wholesalers had it. I think they wanted as much as 200. I think it was at 210 or 220. He got it for 165. He just stuck with it, kept pestering them. Did it sell? Did it sell? Oh, it's under contract. It's going to sell. Okay, keep me posted. Keep following up. Keep following up. Keep following up. Just locked it up today for $165. And this deal has a after repair value of $700,000. So I don't know what the math on that. That's like less than 20 cents on the dollar. And that's a deal that's just kind of floating around out there. We have other investors who are doing similar stuff. My deal analyst just sent me a deal today that we blasted out to some of the people in the Boots on the Ground program that has like a $70,000, $80,000 profit target on it. And it's just a big single family in a I would call it like an A or B class neighborhood, but in this pocket, it's more in my opinion, more the A class of the pocket. It's got a nice profit target on it. It's a nice single family, 2,800 square feet, 3 stories, just massive. Can build probably a 7-bed, 3-bath, just like family legacy type of home. Just beautiful home. The basement's I think the basement has 9 or 10 foot ceilings in the basement. It's just a great property, but it's just sitting there. And it's been sitting on the market, believe it or not, 62 days. So 62 days it's been sitting on the market. And one of my people will probably get their hands on this and flip it for 70, 80 grand profit through the Boots on the Ground program, where we build the house for you. So there's a lot out there, but get aggressive realtors, because if you don't have the aggressive realtor or wholesaler, just these people who are helping you to get in and out of deals, you're going to miss out on the best deals. The best deals come on and off the market in 24 to 48 hours. So if you're dealing with somebody who's slow, you're going to miss out on 100K profit, because they want to move slow and they're not hungry. So just get people who are hungry. Hunger is determined by how new somebody is to the business. Typically, some people just stay hungry and you just stick with them. They might have been in the business 10 years and they just don't have another energy mode. Like they're just hungry for business always. And they just love chasing down deals. And those guys are good too. But if they're bad, just get rid of them. Don't think twice about it. Just get rid of them. Move on. It's part of the game. You can't take everybody with you to the next level in this game. There might be contractors or different people, realtors, wholesalers that you have at this level when you're doing 2 or 3 deals. And then when you go to do 10 deals, those people break. They don't want to work hard enough. They won't want to work fast enough. They don't want to put in the time. So you have to let them go and go get new people that can operate at that level. Then when you want to go to 100 deals, you need even newer people, right? Another question. And guys, drop your questions in the chat section, in the comment section, anything about real estate, anything that's on your mind about real estate. You can certainly be a fly on the wall and you'll still learn a lot, right? But drop your questions in. We're answering your questions live. So if you have questions, drop them and we'll definitely get to them. Next question is, should I set up an LLC before I start looking for properties to invest in, or afterwards? It depends. Like if you know exactly what you want to do, if you want to go out and do the burst strategy and you want to take out hard money and leverage other people's money to do the burst strategy, then I would say go ahead and get your LLC, because they're going to require that. The hard money lenders that I know, the big national players, they all require everything to be LLC'd anyway. So you might as well set up your LLC. Where to set it up? Probably Delaware, Wyoming, some of the good places where you have good privacy laws and cheap filing fees. and annual renewal fees. But go ahead and set up your LLC because you're going to need it. Now, if you don't know what you're going to do, if you're still on kind of the spectrum where you're like, I don't know if I'm going to do a hard money deal or if I'm going to park some money in a deal, like put down 10, 20% or do a FHA house hack. If you're going to FHA house hack, you can't do it in an LLC. You have to do it in your personal name. So you don't want to spend $300-400 setting up an LLC and then you just go and put the property in your personal name because you have to. Likewise, if you're going to put down 20% on a conventional, sometimes depending on those deals, those are also going in your name if you want to get the best rates. So, and if your debt to income ratio is still decent, which we're dropping a video sometime this week on kind of debt to income ratio and all of that stuff for you guys who want to learn more about that. So if you're doing that type of stuff, then you might not need the LLC. But if you're going to go burst strategy, hard money, buy and flip, then you want an LLC like everything as much as possible. So you don't want to jump the gun on the LLC because now I'm not in the business of like putting out money that doesn't need to be put out. Like you just don't want to do that for no reason. You want to keep your money and invest it into real estate directly, but keep as much of it as possible. Make sure as an investor, for you guys who are out there who haven't really tapped into credit yet, you want to have credit cards. You want to have credit lines of credit. You want to have home equity loans and home equity lines of credit. So you want to have your HELOCs, not the loans, but the HELOCs, so that you have like pools of liquidity. This helps you as an investor. You don't want to go in and be burning through cash all the time. You want to have lines of credit that you can access, and you want to hold that cash as tightly to the chest as possible. And that will kind of set you guys up pretty well. So that is that. Looks like we got another question in the chat. Let's see what this is, and we'll kind of keep flowing. Guys, if you have more questions, drop them in the chat. We're answering the questions live. So any questions you have, anything about real estate, drop it in the chat. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe so I can send you that free training that'll show you how to get into this wholesale game, how to acquire properties for pennies on a dollar, maybe some that you can hold, right? And start to build cash flow for you and your family, break free from the 9 to 5, which is why we're all doing this thing. That's why you should be here, is because you want out of the 9 to 5, because you hate your boss, or you're just tired, or you're afraid that if you stay on this current path, you're not going to be able to retire. You're going to burn out of energy, which is what will happen. So make sure you tap into this knowledge, ask your questions while we're doing this live. Richard is using FHA House Hack to build up a multifamily portfolio a good strategy, considering you're only putting down 3.5%. Yeah, I mean, it really can be, depending on where you're doing it, what the size of the asset is, because remember, you could do this on a quadplex. You could do this on a 4-unit building. The cost of that building, like let's say you could acquire something there are places in the country where you could acquire like a 3-unit for $150K. FHA House Hack at 3.5% down. You live in 1 unit, you rent out the other 2. You might get paid to live in your property. You live there for a year, you move out, then you rent that other unit out. Now you're up maybe $700, $800, $900 a month in cash flow off of a deal that you only put down 3.5% on. The thing to keep in mind about the 3.5%, when you put down the 3.5%, like, yes, you're going to have a bigger mortgage. There's going to be hypothetically less cash flow because there's going to be more money going out to mortgage, primary mortgage insurance, like some of the fees associated with the FHA. That being said, we have to think in terms of a cash on cash return. Cash on cash return means how much money did I have to put out and then how much is coming back in. When you're doing things like an FHA house hack, because you're putting so little cash out, just 3.5%, your cash on cash return levered up is enormous. I mean, it's crazy. It can be, I've seen cash on cash returns off of FHA house hacks in like the 80-90%, per year range. For my FHA house hack, I got all of my money back in like 7 months. So I think mine was, I guess it was over 100%, annualized. I got all my money back in 7 months, and then I was like cash flowing. But I also did a seller's assist, which, I've talked to some of you guys about how to structure that seller's assist to get even more value out of your deals. So yeah, like if you're using it, it is a good strategy. You can't do infinite FHA deals though. You only get typically one at a time, one outstanding FHA at a time. So you could do a FHA, then if as it appreciates, refinance it into a conventional, and then you would have the ability to use another FHA loan again, even though you already have a property. So the FHA House Hack, I would say, is the number one way for the average person to get their first multifamily property who's starting off with very little capital. It's like the ultimate hack, in my opinion. Um, let's see this next question. 70% income from rentals goes towards income. I think if you're talking about like a cash on cash return, yeah, like any income you get out of these things, typically, I mean, most people don't understand how tax advantaged the cash flow is, but I mean, it's super cash tax advantage because you have ghost depreciation, you have mortgage interest write-offs, you have property tax deductions, you have all these deductions that are going against this stuff. And if you're doing this full time and it's buy and hold game, you can write off pretty much everything against your taxes, all of these losses against even your W-2 income. So the money that you get out of this stuff in terms of cash flow is super tax advantage. It can be crazy. Can I put my son in the property? Yes, you could put your family in the property. Definitely, you could do an FHA deal, put your family in the property. They could pay, the mortgage and maybe even a little bit of cash flow, and that can work out too. So you also put a relative in the property. They're doing the property management, so then you can save on property management fees. Toilet breaks, it's on you, son. That's kind of that process. So you can even save a little bit of money there. So yeah, you can definitely put family in. I mean, an FHA house hack is the way to go. Anybody who hasn't used their FHA should be thinking about a house hack to some degree. How can I pull that off? And getting the strategy with the house hack, you want to get the biggest multi you can afford. You don't want to house hack a $50,000 single family. You want to house hack a massive deals. So definitely keep an eye on that. Next question: How do you escalate home equity fixed or execute? Maybe that's execute a home equity fixed rate loan. I mean, you just have to contact your bank. I mean, one, you have to have some cash in the deal. Like you have to have some equity in your property. Typically, you're doing this on a primary residence, so you have to have some cash in that deal that you can, lock into. As long as you have some cash, you just contact your bank, you fill out, the paperwork, and they're going to appraise the deal. As long as they appraise the deal and the deal's good, I mean, they're going to send you basically an amount. Hey, you will qualify for X amount of a home equity line of credit. The home equity fixed rate loan, I don't necessarily recommend because it's kind of like a additional mortgage. Once you take that money out as the loan, now you have another payment on top of that. If you keep the home equity line of credit, it actually puts you in a better position in my opinion. So you just want to definitely stay with that home equity line of credit. Any other questions out there? Let me know. Just drop them in the chat. Like, comment, subscribe once again, and let's keep on flowing through some more questions. Next question: Does Section 8 pay fair market value rent, or can they pay you less or more than that number? So this is a good question for the Section 8ers out there. If you are a Section 8er and you want to kind of see like, what am I getting myself into? You're trying to run your numbers on the rent. Section 8 will typically put out these different guides. So they'll put out a guide that says, hey, here's what we pay in terms of fair market rent. So if you're in some cities, they'll just give it to you. And others, I've seen them not or kind of hide that information. But how Section 8 works is they base their rents off of fair market value rent. And then they will run a calculation based on where your property is located and like what zip code of a city, because a fair market value rent is based on like a city or a state. So then they're going to look at where you're located within there. They'll do some type of adjustment. And then they're going to look at the condition of your property and they'll do an adjustment there. So let's say you're in the hood, but they go into your property and it's full gut renovated, like I do my deals. stainless steel appliances, granite countertops, hardwood floors, like heat and air conditioning, you're going to get bump ups in how much they'll pay you for that unit. They're going to pay you much closer to their maximum because they'll always have a max. And they have what's called a rent determination unit. And they calculate, who they'll pay and how much they'll pay because they're managing an in-house budget. So you can get very high on that spectrum. Also, if you go into a house and you're like running the slum landlord play and you're just like, hey, I'm just going to paint over whatever I can paint over, do whatever I can do, and I don't really care, that could set you back as well. So they might decrease your rent or lower it because of the condition of the property, because it hasn't been renovated, or you don't have, heat and AC, you just have the heat and the window mounted AC. Some of these things could be like negative deductions. So you want to look at the fair market value rent. I always recommend to be conservative, maybe multiply the fair market value rent by like 0.85. So give it like a 15% haircut, and then see if with that haircut, could you still cash flow? Could you still be comfortable? If those numbers still work out with the haircut, then go ahead and do the deal. Also, always know what the market will rent for. So you want to know, will the market rent for, the exact fair market value rent or a little bit more? Because sometimes you can get more from market rent than you can from Section 8. Because Section 8 is not always, in some cities, they pay more than market. In some, they pay kind of at, and some they pay below. So you want to know where you're at and just kind of benchmark it against what you think you could rent it for on the market. So always, you can now know if Section 8 pays you a ton, great, you're going to cash flow. If they come back with a low determination, I'm just going to put it on the market. Because I know I don't have to get $1,150 from Section 8. I'll get $1,250 from the market. I wanted $1,300, but now that Section 8's not playing ball, boom. Also know that if you have multiple properties on one block and they're all kind of the same, hey, I'm on this block, everything's 3-bed, 1-bath, 1,200 square feet. And that's how neighborhoods are. All the properties are kind of conforming. If you get one Section 8 property on this block, or let's say within the same zip code that you own, and you're like, I have this 3-bed, 1-bath, they're paying $1,250, you can pretty much hold their feet to the fire on that price. So if you have another property that is 1,300 square feet, 3 beds, 1 bath in that same zip code, you could go to them and say, look, you're giving me $1,250 for this one, I want $1,250 for that one. And they'll say, oh no, we can't do it. Hey, I got to make the mortgage work, I got bills, that's what I need, or I'm not taking a tenant. And they will fold a lot of the time because they don't have strong ground to stand on. So as you build up your book of business with Section 8, you can get more negotiation power. So do know that. Any deals, any other questions out there? Let me jump back into the chat. It looks like we got a couple more questions. So let's say a massive deal. Can you do a 40-door apartment with FHA? No. FHA is for first-time home buyers. They will cap you at 4 units, which is residential. It has to be residential. So you have to own or occupy it for at least 1 year for an FHA deal. So they're going to cap you at residential. Residential stops at 4 units. Once you go to 5 units, you're commercial. So you get a commercial valuation. When you're 4 units, you're residential, which means you can pull comps off of the market, off the MLS. 3 units is residential, 2 units, 1 unit, 4 units, 5 units is commercial. So it doesn't make sense on a lot of deals. If you look at them, you'll see some deals on the market where there's like a 5-unit building and it won't sell. Because once you go commercial, there are different costs associated with it. Even the lending, the appraisals, everything is more expensive. And if you only have 5 units, it's not worth the extra cost half of the time. So you really want to be in a position where you're doing deals that are either residential or bigger level commercial, like 10, 15, 20 units. You want to kind of get up, I would say, closer to 10 units if you're going to go commercial, versus getting into these like tweener numbers of like 5 units, where if you try to renovate it, you're going to pay an arm and a leg on the renovation. You got to put in sprinkler systems. You got to do a lot of different things that you don't necessarily want to have to do. We have another question. And guys, drop your questions. We're answering your questions live. So drop them in the comment section. Drop them in the chat. Like, comment, subscribe. Share the live with somebody you want to do well in real estate. Even if this is a replay, watching the replay, share that with somebody you want to do well. Get them tapped into the channel. There's a lot more content on the YouTube channel for you guys to dive into as well. We have a New York resident, fellow New Yorker. I'm like a adopted New Yorker at this point. Can't leave because of job. Looking for 4-door multi as a first-time home buyer. Any down payment assistance programs? I don't have 20%. No, definitely. I mean, there's down payment assistance programs in every state. So there are down payment assistance programs in New York. There are definitely deals that you could do a FHA house hack on and get down payment assistance for. It's just a matter of going through the steps. So I would recommend contacting the different agencies. Watch my video on down payment assistance, the top 5 down payment assistance programs and how you can qualify. I think the Chenoa Fund would probably be the best because they're the only one that will allow you to do with the down payment assistance, at least a duplex. They'll allow. You could look into the Bank of America one, but they're kind of capped at $17,500, which is not going to go super far in New York. But there are going to be options out there for you. So definitely just stay locked in. And it depends on where you buy. If you go to upstate New York, so I won't say all of it, you could go to parts of upstate New York and now, 17,500 and down payment assistance goes a little bit further. So that is, something to think about. Let me close this door. That's something to think about if you want to do that. So you can definitely think about that. Look a little bit further upstate, and you'll find some cheaper deals. Let's get back into some more questions. If you guys have more questions, drop them in the chat, and we'll kind of keep flowing here. Here goes a hard money related question that I got. When you did your first hard money deal, were you afraid to take out the money, and kind of when did that change? So I would say if you're not afraid of hard money, if you've never done a hard money deal before, you probably need to have your pulse checked. Like you should be a little bit concerned if you've never done a hard money deal before, you've never dealt with it, or you're like a new investor. Maybe you've never dealt with hard money, but you've dealt with like a full gut renovation. You may be less afraid because you've dealt with construction. But if you haven't dealt with either, and you're going out and getting like a $250,000 hard money loan, this will make a lot of people concerned. So, yeah, I was afraid. My first couple of deals, I was like taking out, I think the first hard money deal was like a $70,000 loan. I wasn't really afraid of that, but there were 3 properties. So it was like really like 210. So that was a little bit more concerning. You definitely know when you do your first hard money deal that the clock is ticking. You're signing a bunch of documents and paperwork, and you owe this money back. So it adds a increased sense of urgency far above and beyond just doing a deal all cash. Now, going from doing, let's say, a handful of deals to doing like 50 deals at once and having several $1 million in hard money loans extended, that's a whole different level. I think at some point you kind of just become comfortable with it. As you get into the flow, it becomes an OPM flow, it becomes more comfortable because you start to focus on deal structuring, taking your deals and only buying deals that have enough labor budget in them to be comfortable deals in themselves. So once you have comfortable deals and an abundance of them, you can build enough rehab budget amongst all of your deals to go out and hire construction crews and just run them through all of your projects and save money by doing deals in bulk. So it becomes safer. What hard money is here to do is, as you get more comfortable with it, it allows you to scale up faster. The only point in scaling up is to get to efficiency scales, to get to levels where you can save money by buying in bulk. If you can do that, you're going to win pretty big. If you don't want to just take on more hard money to just do more deals, you have to reach higher levels of efficiency, greater scale, greater savings. If you do that, you can actually save more money versus making more. And saving at high volumes is making more. And that's the real trigger. So it's like you're not necessarily going to make more money per deal in terms of top line profit. But what will happen is you're going to save 30-40% on all of your materials, and then maybe 15% on labor, 10% on labor. And that savings will result in less money going out, which means you're keeping more, and your nest egg will just grow. And as your cash position grows, they give you more hard money, so you do more deals. So it's just a leverage point. But I'd say for everybody who's thinking about doing a hard money deal, start off small. Start small, and then work your way up in the process, and you'll be fine. You don't need to start off at the highest level. And this is another question. This is actually the last question we got from you guys in terms of the fixed questions that I've gotten over the last couple of weeks. And we'll wrap it up here unless anybody else has a comment. So if you have any questions, drop it in the chat, drop it in the comment section, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll keep flowing. Should I pay my contractor in draws? Example, my contractor wants 4 draws for the project, 25% per draw. So this is kind of that, I'm going to do your rehab. It's a $100K rehab. I want $25K up front to get started. Then I'm going to work a couple weeks. I'm asking for another $25K, and then 25. Should I do this? My answer is always no. My answer is control the money. And I know that this is kind of the typical setup for a real estate deal. When you're dealing with contractors, they kind of want money up front. From my perspective, and I'm somebody who's gotten burned for $40,000 by a contractor on my first deal, but I've also had contractors steal from the job, over order materials, and do all different types of things. So over the course of time, maybe you can bump that number up to 100,000 to maybe $250,000 worth of just theft and bad systems until you put up security systems and different systems in place to protect yourself from these things. You never want to be in a position to give a contractor a bunch of money up front. Why? Because that's not really how the job flows anyway. The contractor doesn't take that 25% and then go to their subcontractors and then say, okay, I want you guys to frame the house. Here's 25% up front. They don't give anybody money up front. They go buy the materials directly, and then they pay usually after work has been done. So after the subcontractors have worked for a week, they're going to pay them at the end of the week. Why wouldn't they pay them up front? Because if they paid those guys up front, they wouldn't show up to work. They probably go spend the money, party, get drunk, do whatever, and they wouldn't show up to work. You don't pay people in advance in construction. You pay them after the work is done. And like for the weekend, pay them on Friday, they go party for the weekend, they come back on Monday, probably because they blew through a lot of money and they want to make some more. It's a very strange game. It is not white collar. This is blue collar. This is as blue collar as it gets. And it's very difficult for us white collar people to really understand. I mean, there is no HR department. There is nobody there who's going to save you. If somebody wants to run off with your money, you'll be chasing them. So you don't want to give up the money. You also don't want to give up the value. Like if you give them 25% of the money and they go buy the materials, they might put those materials on their Amex and then sit on the cash. But what did they get on that Amex? All the bonus points, all the cash back rewards, all the things on their credit card. That should have been on your credit card. And that's just one angle of the value that you're cutting yourself out of by advancing money to contractors versus controlling your project. If you guys are in the 100 Keys Masterclass, you already know how I teach, which is we got to control the money. When in doubt, control the money. Do not give up the money. I even have a YouTube video called Don't Give Up the Money. So I don't like this 4-draw project thing. I think it typically will lead to you getting burned for tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the scope of your project. It's the easiest way to get burned. And my spidey sense kind of goes off when I see 4 draws, 25% down. That's like, to me, oh, I'm about to get burned. It just triggers me. It's like PTSD. Last question we got as well was about the Philly ride along. Tell me more about the Philly real estate ride along. I'm planning a ride along for those of us who want to attend. There's only 10 or 12 seats available. We keep them pretty small. That Philly ride along, we're gonna spend the day. You get to spend the day with me, driving around Philly in a party bus. We're gonna inspect properties, so properties that are on the market actively right now. We're going to walk through properties that are being full gut renovated all over Philly right now. Projects that our team is working on. We're going to meet some contractors. We're going to go see hot spots of Philly, up and coming neighborhoods, and show you where the money is made and how it's made. and how to inspect properties and how to find deals, how to do research. So it's truly out in the field. Some of these ride-alongs are like, they call it a ride-along, but then you get there and they kind of pull up to a classroom and pull out a whiteboard. This is like, I'm here to give you actual hands-on experience with these things. So we're going to drive around, spend a day together, grab lunch, and learn this game. So it's a chance for you to really put your hands on some deals and learn, pretty much try to absorb my decades worth of experience in terms of that hands-on experience, boots on the ground experience. So if anybody's interested in that, definitely reach out, text, email, however you got here. You can get a hold of me and learn more about that ride along. I don't do these often. I'll usually only do one a quarter. And most of the people who are in them are in our boots on the ground program, who are, want us to build houses for them, or people who are interested in that. So it's definitely high level, and you'll learn a ton. If you're looking for that hands-on experience, definitely reach out about that. We got one last question, and it is, where is the masterclass, the 100 Keys Masterclass, where I break down how I went from 0 to over 300 properties in about 5 to 7 years doing the birth strategy, my exact strategy, how to leverage other people's money to do it, how to deal with lenders, tenants, property management companies, architects, engineers, how to convert properties from single family to multifamily, just everything about real estate, how to wholesale, how to do creative financing. We break it all down. For that, you just have to reach out. You have to book a session. However you got here, if you got a text or an email, email back, text back, say, hey, I want to talk about the masterclass, and we'll schedule a cash flow strategy session where we can talk one-on-one about the masterclass, how you can get started, and how you can tap into that one-on-one VIP level, which is where I get to work with you one-on-one, directly with the source, where we can work one-on-one to try to next level you and get you out of the rat race. I mean, the goal is there's 2 levels to the masterclass. There's the group course where you can kind of just tap into the knowledge. But for the people who want the one-on-one, the people who are a little bit more aggressive, that's designed to truly break you free, from the 9 to 5, and give you those action steps and kind of lay that out for you. So, yeah, Richard, we got to get you in. I know you want in, and we're working towards getting you into the masterclass. We got to get you in, and I'm sure it'll happen soon. So if anybody's interested in that, definitely reach out, and we'll try to tap you in. This is a follow-up kind of on the, paying people in draws. So basically, you would get the contractor to do the first phase of the rehab with their own money. Not necessarily, I would buy the materials myself. So I would say, put together the material list and let's do a phone sale. I'll pay the materials. They're not paying the labor in advance, so they wouldn't be paying anything. And that's what I want you guys to understand. They're not paying the subcontractor, hey, here's $10,000. Now go get started work. They're paying those guys after the first week or 2 weeks of work. So I would be paying more of a direct payment on time. It's not that they would have to put out their own money. They wouldn't put out any money. They would just show up and make sure the work is being done and then get paid after the work's been done, which is a more fair arrangement than me giving 25% of the money to somebody who's not putting out any of the money. Because here's what's going to happen mentally. You get the contractor 25% of the money. Out of that, let's call it a $100,000 deal, so $25,000. It's a 25% up front. Out of that $25,000, let's say $5,000 of that was just pure profit. It's just like a markup, a GC markup to the contractor. So they're going to spend it. Then they're going to look at the other $20,000 that they didn't really spend yet. Maybe they put 10 on materials and they're sitting on 10. They're going to look at that money and say, well, I'm broke now. I already spent my 5. You know what? I got a bright idea. Let me grab 5,000 out of this remaining pool of money. And then when they give me the next draw, then I'll just leave that 5,000, that profit. I'll leave that from the next draw. I won't take it. And that'll replenish the 5 I took from this first draw. So then the next draw comes in. They're broke again. They spent through the next 5. So then they take this 5. And now they're ahead of the money. And eventually they mismanage a couple things. They're coming to you for draw number 3. Hey, I need the third draw. But they're only done 20% of the work. And they want 75% of the money. And now you're sitting there saying, am I going to not pay? Because if I don't pay the next draw, the work stops. and they're already ahead 50% of the money. So now they're running off with 50% of the money, 20% of the work's done. Or do you release the third 25%, another 25K, to see if they can catch up and figure it out? And that's the position you put yourself in with this. It doesn't work, guys. It doesn't work. It never will work. It never has worked. It could work only with somebody who has a high level of integrity and can manage money well. But I haven't found many contractors that manage money well at that level. And if a contractor is highly successful, most of them have enough money to float, some materials here and there. It's not like that big of a deal for them to float some materials for a week. If they're managing a crew and doing all these things, they can float the materials, get it back in the invoice, and they kind of keep flowing. So there's levels to this. I can't give you guys all the game in these quick hit answers, but the 4-draw process can get you burned. You have to be very advanced. You have to be as advanced as me. I've done over 300 full gut renovations, burst strategy style, with hundreds of contractors. You have to be that advanced to be successful with the 4-draw process, because I can see through it. So I know what the work is, and I know, no, you're not done yet. I know how they pay their subs. I know the cost of all the materials. So I know I can see if they've overspent the money or if they've blown it. I don't need them to tell me. I can just see it and be like, no, get it done. And I have enough work to where it's a threat, to where it's like, you get it done, or I'm crushing you off these next 10 deals, and you're gonna hit your pockets for $250,000, and that hurts. So there's different levels of this thing, but there's just a fair way to do it. You paying for the materials directly, paying labor on time is not like a bad deal for anybody. It's just the flow. There might be some times where the contractor steps in, covers, $3-4 grand here or whatever. He might pay his guys in advance, wait 3 days for the invoice to come in. There's different levels to it, but you're doing this to be fair, not to cheat the contractor. But you also don't want to put yourself in this position for the contractor to run off. That doesn't make any sense. Does that include buying materials? I think we covered that. It does. What about hiring a project manager if I'm an out-of-state investor? You have to learn how to think like a GC. If you're an out-of-state investor, you need to be in a mentorship program before you hire. So the thought process is, it's a thought process that you can delegate the most important part of the business to someone else, and that's going to lead you to get burned. So it's like, you can do that if you know what you're doing at a very high level. Like, you have 40, 50 renovations of experience. Now you can start to delegate that stuff, because you can build somebody into that role. But if you don't have enough experience and you're out of state, you can't just delegate that stuff, just hand it off and think, oh, I'll manage the money, they'll manage the construction. It doesn't work that way. The money gets jumbled up. Nobody cares about the money more than you, especially if you're guaranteeing the loans and doing these things. And it'll blow up on you. So you need to be, it's more reason to be in a mentorship program. Some people are funny, like they'll try to save a few grand on a mentorship program and then go out and try to do a $250,000 deal and freaking lose 80K because they're stubborn. Like they're just like, I'll figure it out. I don't need it. And it's like, cool, you're gonna hurt you. You can't hurt a mentor. You can't hurt mentorship. You're gonna hurt you, because I've lost $500,000 in this game. I wear it like a badge of honor, because I can give the knowledge to you guys. And actually, that is the only value that I've gotten out of it. I mean, yeah, I can do deals better, but that's not enough value. The value is that I can teach other people how to not get burned. That gives a meaning to losing that much money to contractors and different people trying to burn you in different ways, or people that are in-house that are just stealing, over ordering materials and stealing from you, literally, in the truest sense. So if you are out of state, you need to have out of state level systems, security cameras, check-in points and systems, and boots on the ground inspectors, and all these things in place so you don't get burned, or you will get burned, period. Even from people who you think are trustworthy, they'll steal from you. If you are foolish enough, there are people out of the mindset that say, if he's foolish enough to not have a security camera here, he deserves for me to overorder. They're of that mindset. It's crazy, but I promise you, they're like, he deserved it. He didn't put the system up. I remember when I put up security cameras, I had guys quit because they knew they were going to get caught. They just left. I'm not going to work under that. The guys who didn't steal, they didn't care. They're like, yeah, put them up. The guys who were stealing, and I had some guys stay and still steal and get caught on camera stealing. Crazy. Guys that were making good money that had been around for a couple years, and you'll find them. Yeah, you put an eye in the sky on them, you'll see them. So yeah, if you're out of state, it's more reason. Like I do everything out of state, right? So I live in New York, invest in Philly, Jersey, Delaware, Baltimore, Texas. But I have systems that have been honed over the course of a decade that are pretty much bulletproof at this point. So you have to learn those systems to protect yourself, or you're going to get burned. And the school of hard knocks costs a lot more than mentorship. So it's like you could get the right systems in place and get it right, or you can just go lose $100K if that's what you must do to feel like you're getting it done. Then some people like to learn that way. But yeah, definitely control your money, control the materials. Out of state doesn't matter. Not with today's technology. You can do a phone sale from outside of the country, and we have people investing in U.S. real estate from outside of the country through these systems. Next question is the South Bronx a decent area for real estate investing? Everywhere else is wild pricey. I mean, it definitely is. It definitely is. So my whole investment thesis on New York investing is follow the train lines. How long does it take to get into Midtown? Are there express trains? Can I get on the 2, the 3, the D, the A? Which one of these train lines can I use to get into Midtown in 30 minutes, 40 minutes? Think about a commuter, a New York commuter, if you're a New Yorker. 45 minutes, that's nothing. They throw on a quick audiobook, they throw on something, they're listening, boom, you're there. That's like nothing. So you look at the areas in the Bronx with these express train lines that can get you to Midtown in 45 minutes, where the money is, where all the high money jobs are. And then you will find the price shoppers, the people who are like, yeah, I want to work in Midtown, make the big money, but I'm not trying to blow it all. So they're going to want to rent in these pockets. So if you buy the real estate there, it's going to appreciate in value because it has the rental demand built in from the train lines. And that's the New York game. That's the same. If you look at anywhere that has developed, like Brooklyn, look at Brooklyn. Most of the development, it happens on the train lines first, and then it expands out. So you just have to, the whole Bronx game is buy along the train lines and then wait. And your value will go up, exponentially. Any other questions out there? If not, we'll definitely wrap this thing up. Hopefully this helped. Keep sending your questions. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe, share this with somebody who you want to do well in real estate. Just share the channel with them as well, because there's a lot of content on this channel that will just 10x you. I mean, it will 10x you if you really take it seriously. I think to some degree, because I'm putting some of this stuff out here for free, it's like it's taken for granted. Like people don't understand the what I'm really talking about and how you can take some of this stuff and 10x it. But the masterclass always has, the lion's share, the real deep dives on the content, and then the one-on-one mentorship program where we work together one-on-one to give you the true custom steps. That is like how you can truly take things to the next level overnight. I mean, we call it like a 6-month transformation, where you wake up, you look in the mirror, you're like, who is this guy? I don't even recognize this person from a real estate knowledge standpoint. And that's my goal, is to make sure you don't, recognize yourself 6 months from getting started. If you're like one of our mentees, like TJ, he got like 3 multifamily properties within his first 6 months of being in the program. And I believe, I just interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, And now he's about to close on a 7-unit deal. I mean, this guy's, I gotta like look over my shoulder now. This guy's running so fast. So definitely take advantage of the value, stay tapped in. Hopefully this helped you guys. Appreciate you tapping in. Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, signing off. Appreciate you guys.